Hello and a very warm welcome to the 2022 MotoGP eSport Championship. Jack Appleyard and Jack Gorst here to talk you through the opening qualifying session of the 2022 Global Series. And as you can see, these guys have been thrown in at the deep end, quite literally. Wet conditions at the Sachsenring will kick off the Global Series tomorrow evening from 7 o'clock here live at Mugello. Jack, these conditions are incredibly testing. We saw them tackle it for the first time last year and it threw up quite a lot of drama. We're expecting the same tomorrow. What a way to start the season this is.
Yeah, it's certainly thrown them in at the deep end, as you do say, and hopefully it's not deep end in terms of the amount of water out on track. Just wet but no puddles hanging around for them out there, as we do see the guys heading out onto their first out laps. Then you might notice as well there on screen Mr. T. He's a change of colours this year. Obviously, Avintia Racing are no longer in MotoGP, so he stepped into the Pramac role, and it's good to see him in slightly more factory colours, should we say. But yes, as you do say, Jack, Sachsenring in the wet, quite a challenge indeed, particularly as they come through this seemingly never-ending series of left-handers all the way up to turn 10 at the top of the hill before the waterfall.
Yeah, it's going to be a real challenge for these guys. Whilst we get the opportunity then, with only 90 seconds of this session being completed so far, we'll be able to run you through who swapped teams. There's been quite a few changes in the off-season, some rookies as well, including this man, brand new to the grid for 2022, the Italian riding for the VR46 Mooney squad, Spadalongo.
Spadalongo, I think.
Spadalongo, there we go. I'll go speak to Michele Giacon, who is, of course, riding the number 4 machine for the VR46 concerning 2022. Good to see him on the grid. We've got another rookie as well, also on a Ducati, the Gresini machine, going the way of Indonesia's Tati Go, riding the number 46. Is he allowed to do that? I thought we were retiring the 46.
Well, I think you've just spoiled the fun there, haven't you, Jack? But yes, the number 46 is obviously being retired this weekend. And, well, 46, at least it's good to see it on track in a virtual sense.
It is. I think it's only been retired from the Premier Class grid, so we are allowed to see the Indonesia rocking the number 46 in MotoGP eSport. Let's run you through some of the changes there. This is Jack Hammer. He remains with the factory KTM squad for 2022.
Looking fast too.
He has looked extremely quick in a few of the free practice sessions, including the one that we just had ahead of this qualifying session. Incredibly, 6/10 of a second clear of everybody else, so he looks to be in fine form this year, just a young Brit. In terms of the big changes, well, that comes in the form of the factory Suzuki squad and in factory Ducati as well. Andrea Severi, Andrew ZH, as he was known in previous Global Series, has made the move across from the factory Ducati squad to the factory Suzuki squad. So that's going to take some used to seeing him in blue rather than red, because of course it was a bit of a dream team combination of those two. From Bologna himself, is Andrea was part of that concern for a number of years, including the year that he won the MotoGP eSport Championship back in 2019 now. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it seems a long time ago now, and certainly he has a good track record in Mugello as well with Ducati, we have to say. He did actually win that race here in 2019 for Ducati, I do believe. So it's certainly going to be interesting to see him in light blue Suzuki. Of course, in MotoGP eSport, it's a bit more of a formality rather than a massive change, as balanced performance is on across all these bikes. So there's no real difference, but still, it is quite a change indeed. And this is the change that has filled those boots then. It is, of course, Piero Ricciuti, who was just on our screens there, finished second in the world last year in just his full season. First full season in MotoGP eSport Global Series. The wild child, as we like to call him, he stepped into the big leagues on the factory Ducati.
It has, as you said, the characteristics of the motorcycle don't change as we see in MotoGP in real life, as you rightly say, balanced performance as well. But with a move like that does come increased pressure. You know, going from the LCR squad, I saw that he put on his social channels that there was a real family feeling there, a feeling that he could go in and perform without much pressure. But the Ducati squad have signed him with expectations to win that championship. And there's going to be more people around him, more press, opportunities for him as well. And that can be a real challenge for these young guys. Piero, of course, is one of the youngest on the grid as well. Yeah. Born in 2003, so he's barely even 20 yet.
He's a young whippersnapper, isn't he?
He is. Only 18 years of age is Piero. So to have all of that responsibility and that pressure can be a real challenge, but we'll see how he gets on.
And if we're speaking of pressure, this is a man that probably isn't feeling any pressure, but he is certainly under some. Of course, riding for the Repsol Honda banner, that is the man, Adrian 26, who won the World Championship in 2020 and then lost it last year, only narrowly with Duad. But Adrian 26, of course, on Honda, you just see him as a little tip off there, coming through turn 12. I think he lost the rear end there just on the exit. But Adrian, pressure is off but on in a weird kind of way, because he needs to take that Honda back to the top in a sense.
He does, yeah. Of course, our 2020 champion, as you rightly say. We did see to a certain extent, of course, as you well know, 2020, a pandemic-affected year, meaning that we didn't have any on-site events. And there was an argument, the fact that because there was no on-site events, that the pressure of these huge global series arena events here in Mugello, in Valencia, we've had them in previous years at Aragon or Misano, comes with it a different kind of pressure. You are quite literally under the bright lights rather than being in the comfort of your own room, as we've seen at the virtual event. So that can be interesting to see the guys that are able to perform when there's a little bit more added pressure, there's more eyes watching, as we have it here on site in the MotoGP paddock. We've mentioned him already, one of the rookies for 2022. Great to see that we've got some Indonesian representation once again in 2022. Down the years, we've had some great esport riders from Southeast Asia, and hopefully Tati Go will be the next to compete right at the sharp end, Jack.
Yeah, I'm sure he will, and of course, as we know, if he goes half as well as an Air Bastianini is going on that Gresini Ducati in real life, he is going to be right up there as we do hop on board with him through this fast sweeper at the bottom of the hill in Sachsenring. Quite a fantastic piece of the track there as we do come up over the hill now. Just ran a little bit wide onto the green, so this lap will be cancelled. But this nice flick down, a shame we don't stay on board from there. The flick down through the waterfall is one of these places, not just in MotoGP eSport, but also in real life, that is really quite tricky and could catch them out. Now, if we do just quickly reference the leaderboard, because we haven't done so yet, Piero Ricciuti is on top by just over half a tenth from Adrian, so certainly that pressure is not weighing him down just yet. Adrian Severi, 11. Certainly going quite well already on that factory Suzuki, so it seems as though he slipped into those slippers as though they're an old pair. And then Trastevere, your current champ and Mr. Free Time now, is in fourth.
Yeah, doing pretty well is our current fastest man at the moment, Piero Ricciuti. I'm just looking to see where Jack Hammer is, because he's on screen now. They're in fifth spot at the moment, on course to take top spot away from the factory Ducati man as he comes across the line now, and he does jump right to the top of the standings. A fantastic lap from Jack Hammer, but that's exactly what we expected to see given his form in free practice over the course of today and yesterday as well. I'm just trying to see what the actual gap is there.
It's just under a tenth.
It is 0.096, I think.
So that's around Sachsenring, to be fair, in MotoGP eSport terms. You can actually call that quite a healthy margin. Although we do know that in the pre-practice we just had before this, he was 6 tenths clear of the rest, and I believe his time was a 1:22.8. So there is a little bit of time to come from Jack Hammer for what we do see here. Here's Vindex then, the man that won the Rising Stars Series finals the last 2 seasons. So he actually comes into this, well, he's returning to the series because he did compete in it before, but he comes into it not as an unknown, but with quite a bit of momentum, and one that the current eSport riders on the grid won't really know too well.
No, Vindex actually was the understudy of Trastevere in Yamaha for the past couple of years, was the replacement rider at the factory squad, waiting for his opportunity to take over as Adrian takes over at the top of the timesheet. So 1:23.2, we're getting closer to the 1:22 barrier here now. Half a second clear is the Repsol Honda man. A great lap from Adrian. Of course, our former eSport king looking to reclaim the crown that he lost last year, but just on Vindex. It's great to see him finally get his opportunity in the Global Series. As you rightly said, Jack, having won the Rising Stars Series in 2020 and then again in 2021, he's deservedly on the Global Series grid, and as all good satellite teams should work, he's slotted in.
And as you were talking of his understudy, the master of them all, Trastevere 73, the 3-time champ, slots right into second place there, just ahead of Jack Hammer and just behind Adrian, the man who he pinched the title off. Not for long at all. Here comes Piero Ricciuti, the wild child, right on cue. Fantastic stuff from these boys.
Yep, slots into second spot with now 5 minutes remaining. And as we've seen in previous eSport qualifyings as well, the opening 10 minutes or so can be a little bit steady because these guys know just how important it is to get a lap on the board. We see it in MotoGP now where qualifying is so vital. It's exactly the same here in eSport as well. Often we see the guys on the front row, sometimes on the second row of the grid, are the guys that finish on the podium. It's very rare and very difficult for the guys to battle the way through from the lower parts of the grid. Now a 12-strong grid, of course, compared to last year when we only had 11 bikes on the grid. So great to see that we'll have 4 full rows packed out for the first race here at Sachsenring tomorrow evening.
And as we do look down to the bottom of those 12 at the moment, we do have Mr. T and Darkbright there, who just haven't quite set a lap at the moment, but I believe that Mr. T is on a PB sector for the first split, and Darkbright, as we do hop on board with him now, just above the waterfall. He'll flick right here, up a gear, third, fourth, maybe put into fifth as well. Dive down all the way through to turn 12. Let's see what he comes through as the third split. Yes, I do believe he still is on a PB. Well, of course he is, he hasn't set time yet. But let's see what he can actually do as he comes across the line now on the Tech 3 KTM. And Darkbright really last year, although it was kind of an understated year, at times he certainly showed that he had quite a lot of speed and performance. I do believe in the wet actually at Sachsenring last year. He was up there quite early on before a few little mishaps. And what we do across the line, slots into 10th, 1.5 off, I do believe. So not too bad, certainly time to find, but with 1.5 covering all of the guys at the moment, that is quite good.
Yeah, good lap from Darkbright. Interestingly enough as well, he's actually the only gamer up on stage at the moment to opt for an Xbox controller compared to the other 11 guys that have opted to go with a PlayStation controller. Of course, that is total preference that the guys are able to choose themselves. So interesting that he is the only one to opt for the Xbox controller rather than the PlayStation 1. Putting it to fairly good use at the moment. 1.5 seconds adrift in 10th spot. 3 minutes remaining then, everybody pretty much in pit lane. The top 9 riders sat in the pits. Brand new soft Michelin rubber will be chucked into the back of those bikes before they then head out with one more opportunity to try and take pole position. As it stands, Adrian, your 2020 eSport champion, sits in provisional pole, 0.2 of a second clear of Piero Ricciuti, with Trastevere on the factory Yamaha there in third. On the second row provisionally, Jack Hammer, Christian MM17 and Andrea Severi as we get an on-board lap down the waterfall here from Tatigo. No doubt he will be pulling into pit lane though momentarily. He's coming to a standstill. He's the Indonesian and he will be heading into pit lane very shortly to grab himself some brand new tyres and then go again in the final 2 minutes. It needs to be quick though because of course a 1 minute 25, 1 minute 30 out lap.
It's going to be close. That is
Time is ticking. Time is ticking. You can see all of these guys have timed it to perfection. Christian Montenegro, Christian MM17 is his gamer tag. Moves across from Suzuki to LCR this year. It was an understated year for him.
It was.
He has been on the podium every year in the 5 seasons that we have had the MotoGP eSport Championship at some case, but he's been a regular front runner, a regular title contender in years gone by, but it never really got going for him in 2021.
No, it didn't. There was some strong performances. I do remember off the top of my head that Austria was a particularly good one for him. I think he took pole position in Austria last year, so we know that he has the 1 lap pace and also the race pace to go and stick it on the top spot. It's just a matter of whether he's the right man on the day. Now, if you are beady-eyed, you will have noticed that this is the new MotoGP 22 video game. Little plug, go pick yourself up a copy if you haven't got it already. And there's a couple of little additions this year to MotoGP 22. One is the addition of the ride height device, which is going to be key, I can tell you that for sure. Did a little bit of testing the other day before we came over to Mugello, just to find out what it was all about, and it really does help on braking going into these corners. So you're going to have to watch out for those boys using the ride height device to squat the rear end as they come out the corner to help them going into the next one. As I'm not sure who we are on board with. There we go, just popped up. It was Darkbright we're on board with, as these two, with 30 seconds on the clock, going to get across the line, one final crack at it, and it is all or nothing right now, particularly for Darkbright, who's down in 10th.
So keep your eye on the leaderboard on that left-hand side. You'll be able to see either red, orange, or grey sectors pop up, just like for Vindex there. A red opening sector means he is the fastest man through the first sector on his final flying lap. as Dark Bright comes across the line to start his last charge here in the opening qualifying session of 2022. We jump on board with the With You Yamaha RNF man Vindex as he looks to try and make his mark in the Global Series for the very first time. It's a good first sector. It's just faded ever so slightly in sector number 2. He's looking to make up 0.8 of a second if he wants to take pole position as Davide Galina takes the checker flag. He jumps up to 7th. Andreas Severi on the Suzuki. He has gone over track limits, so that means that his lap has been cancelled. It's going to be 6 at best for the 2019 King, but keep your eye on the likes of Adrian, of Trastevere, of Jack Hammer, of Christian, all on provisional pole setting laps. There goes Vindex, 5th for him, 0.6 of a second adrift. Adrian about to go down the waterfall. Can he improve and get beneath that 1 minute 23 barrier? Across the line goes Piero Ricciuti, 2nd for him. He will not improve. Can he hold on to that front row spot as Adrian goes down? He crashes out, and he's now going to have an anxious wait to see if any of his rivals behind are able to better him. Trastevere will be looking to improve as Christian MM17 jumps up to 2nd. It's a brother 1-2, the Montenegros, first and 2nd. Trastevere goes 3rd, and then he's snatched away by Jack Hammer, the Brit, taking the final spot on the front row of the grid in the dying moments of that qualifying session. Disaster in the end then for our wild child Piero Ricciuti as he drops back all the way to 5th in the closing stages, but despite a crash.
So after a late technical issue then, it does seem as though, as you can see there on screen now, race direction button ticking across the bottom, Andrea Severi 11's final lap is declared valid, and that does indeed give him a pole position with 1:22.964 around Sachsenring in the wet. So Andrea Severi then, he is going to be your poleman on the factory Suzuki on his debut as well as we head for race 1 of Global Series in 2022.